The vast majority of entries that make up the thousands of anomalous objects that are hidden away inside the confines of the fictional SCP Foundation are actually inspired by some equally horrifying real-life instances. SCP-1981, for example, is based on a speech given by Ronald Reagan in 1983 and offers a fictional explanation for his real-life mental deterioration. SCP-169 refers to the infamous Bloop recorded by scientists in the 90s. Whichever way you spin it though, it solidifies the fact that our reality has some pretty bizarre, equally anomalous instances, so we better take a look. Hello horror fans and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. As per usual, I'll be your horror host Jack Finch, as today we curiously take a look at the top 5 real life SCPs. Roll the clip. For the curious amongst you, that scene was from the 1982 John Carpenter masterpiece, The Thing, because it's diligent to every now and then take some time to remind ourselves to trust no one. You never know who's an alien flesh-stealing parasite and who's not. Kicking off at number 5, The Man Who Wouldn't Die. And the life and non-death of Michael Malloy is literally something straight out of an anomalous, unsolved investigation. And if you're asking me, it's a much more legendary death-defying tale than that of the notorious Mad Priest Rasputin. One afternoon in July of 1932, 3 men, Francis Pasqua, Daniel Kreisberg and speakeasy owner Tony Marino, planned to take out a life insurance policy on one of their drunken regulars, drink himself to death and then collect the payment. The man's name was Michael Malloy, a homeless Irish man who lived in New York City and couldn't exactly remember exactly how he got there. It was to be a pretty cut and shut plan, but what followed was perhaps the most calamitous attempted murders in recorded history, one that would last an insane 7 months, for one reason: Michael Malloy. After giving Malloy unlimited credit at the bar in the hope that within a few days he'd keel over and die, the group quickly got frustrated, and after a few days they began to replace his liquor with antifreeze. Malloy continued to drink unhindered. Next up was turpentine, followed by horse liniment and then rat poison. Several months later, Malloy was still right as rain. They soaked raw oysters with wood alcohol and fed it to him, gave him a sandwich with rotten sardines and shrapnel. Not a scratch. Nothing. Nearly 5 months later, they got so tired of him still being alive that they straight up ran him over with a taxi at 45 miles an hour. The gang thought he was dead, but nah, he turned up 3 weeks later asking for another drink. Eventually they managed to actually kill him by suffocating him with a gas jet, but did they really? I'm pretty sure Iron Mike's still kicking around just waiting to get picked up by the SCP Foundation. Coming in at number 4, the Vibrating Minarets. The ancient world is brimming with bizarre, anomalous instances that no one can really explain, but most of them are chalked up to having, at the very least, explainable scientific proponents. This one's straight out of the SCP Foundation. The Sidi Beshear Mosque in the city of Ahmedabad of the Gujarat province of India was thought to be built sometime in 1452. The body of the building was completely destroyed back in 1753 during the war between the Matharas and the Khan of the Gujarat Sultanate, but one small part of it remains: 2 very peculiar minarets and the arch gateway that connects them. These 2 pieces of architecture exhibit a very strange phenomena. Whenever one of them is gently shook, the other minaret begins vibrating on its own accord a few seconds later, though the connecting passage between them completely remains free of vibration. And the explanation for this physical property remains unknown to scientists and architects to this day. Straight up, no one has any idea why they do what they do, so I reckon give it to the Foundation and let them explain it. That's probably the safest thing to do, because it's probably a portal of some sorts. Next up at number 3, naked mole rats. Yeah, all of them. All of the naked mole rats, because these fleshy little dudes are so damn weird that they get a free pass when it comes to nature just doing its thing. Unlike literally every other mammal on this planet, naked mole rats don't become more likely to die as they increase in age, and don't really die in conventional ways either. The ones that do just kind of stop eating and then pass away like some kind of nihilistic vampire. They can live without oxygen for up to 18 minutes by switching over their metabolism to fructose instead of the more usual glucose. You know, just regular mammalian stuff. They don't drink water, their two front teeth can move independently like chopsticks, they're pretty much resistant to all known types of cancer, they can't feel pain, they live like ants, and their societal structure revolves around a queen who does all of the breeding and birthing. Naked mole rats are the equivalent of studying an animal from another planet, and for that reason they're perhaps the closest thing we'll ever get to an anomalous entity. For now, anyway. Swinging in at number 2, the Taos Hum. The sleepy little town of Taos in north central New Mexico has been the home of many famous residents. Julia Roberts, Dennis Hopper, D.H. Lawrence, Aldous Huxley, and over the years has cemented itself as a small, laid-back, bohemian, artsy community. But its most infamous anomalous resident, in fact, is the unusual mystery of the Taos Hum. First reported in the early 1990s, the Taos Hum is a droning sound sometimes described as a whir, hum or buzz that occurs in roughly 2% of the general population and seemingly is driving its victims insane. Now the thing is, scientists more often than not chalk up the hum to either mass hysteria or a bizarre form of tinnitus that seems to be activated by social interaction, but I don't know, man, I'm not entirely convinced. Obviously the fact that research is sketchy at best due to varying conflicting reports, Taos isn't actually the only place that this hum has occurred in. Bristol, Edmonton, Borneo, Auckland, all across the planet there have been similar instances, so maybe, just maybe, there's something more to it. Secret government mind control experiments, underground UFO bases, yeah, it's probably that. Or just like a really, really loud washing machine. And finally, our number 1 spot, Terror. And this guy's story is exactly why I'm fascinated by the weird, the unknown and the macabre, because nothing says those 3 things more than the 18th century tale of Terror, the man who couldn't stop eating. Born in rural France near Lyon sometime around 1772, nothing is known about Terror's early life other than the fact that he was kicked out of his own home as a child because he couldn't stop eating. He would eat a quarter of a cow every single day. Eventually, after travelling the country with a band of thieves and prostitutes, Terror would perform as a warm-up act, eating corks, stones, live animals and swallowing an entire basket full of apples whole. The basket and all. Despite his massive consumption of food and materials, Terror was slim and of an average height. When he had not eaten, his skin would hang loose in flaps, and after feasting, it would distend like a huge balloon. His body was hot to the touch and he constantly stank of foul body odour and suffered from chronic diarrhea. Still to this day, anatomical studies have witnessed no similar scientific instances of this human waste disposal machine. At one point, it was even thought that Terror had consumed a 14-month-old toddler whole after roaming a hospital trying to suck blood out of patients and eat corpses down in the morgue because he was so hungry. When he finally died, an autopsy found that Terror's body was filled with pus. His liver and gallbladder were abnormally large and his stomach was enormous, covered in ulcers and filling most of his abdominal cavity. Yeah, I really have no clue. That's Terror, everybody, and he was probably the real life equivalent of an SCP. Well, there we have it, horror fans, our list for the top 5 real life SCPs. Why don't you let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Before we depart though, let's read out some of your more creative comments from over the past few days. First up, Craig Wright says, "Hey Jack, if they were making an SCP inspired movie, which SCP creatures or objects should it focus on?" Well, Craig Wright, that's an absolutely fantastic question, my dude, and probably one that a lot of our viewers could chime in on. I'd like to see something personal, to be honest, focusing maybe on like a Class D personnel tasked with making their way down SCP-087 staircase. That'll make some pretty decent horror. To be honest though, you probably need like a 12-season TV series to even scratch the amount of depth in the Foundation. Yeah, that's got me thinking. Well, in that case, horror fans, that's all we've got time for in today's video. Just stick around all the way until the end. If you're a fan of this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button as well as that subscribe bell, and we'll be seeing you in the next one. As per usual, I've been your horror host, Jack Finch. You've been watching top 5 scary videos, and until next time, please, you take it easy.